Good afternoon, everyone. Country Flyboy here, and today we're going to be talking another type of chart that I'm not sure everyone is familiar with using, at least in the flight sim world, and that's because, well, may not even know they exist. And the charts we're going to be talking about are very, very useful. They are known as terminal area and fly charts. So there's two separate types. There's a terminal area chart and there's a fly chart. We're also going to make use of, up here in the JFK area, they got tons of charts. So look, they got the high en route 10, high en route 12, CF19 walk, en route low 34, low 33, New York sectional, New York terminal area, New York heli, New York skyline, New York surface, New York heli inset. Tons of charts in the New York area, so we'll glance at them. We're going to be focusing mainly on the Miami area, though. So Miami area is a pretty popular flyover region because aircraft flying from Florida down to Key West always have to go through Miami usually, because especially if they're VFR, there's nothing to navigate by over here. If you have an emergency over here, you're going in the Everglades. It's not a very nice place. So a lot of people like to hang out over the east side of Florida where there's still civilization until they get down to the Keys, and then they follow the Keys down to Key West or Marathon or wherever they're going. So the Miami class Bravo, home to Miami International, Fort Opelika, and Fort Lauderdale, as well as West Palm Beach up farther north, which is curious. This is West Palm Beach. Yeah, Palm Beach International. It's in the city West Palm Beach, but it's on the east side of Florida. I don't know why they called it West Palm Beach, but whatever. So yeah, Class Bravo airspace here, Mode C, Vail, all that fun stuff. What we're interested in is the terminal area chart. What is the terminal area chart? It is a zoomed in version of the sectional. So if we look back at the sectional, we see it's nice and big, shows lots of broad information, airways and whatnot. But if we look at the terminal area chart, it's more zoomed in. It's a cutout, so they don't have to show as much stuff. They can get more stuff that you don't normally find on the sectionals in the terminal area chart. And these are very useful to have if you're going to be flying in the Bravos. And as you can look, if I go over here, they don't exist very often. They exist wherever you find Class Bravo, basically. So there's Orlando's got one, Tampa, Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Boston. All Class Bravos have one. And these are very useful charts because they show more zoomed in stuff. It's basically the same thing as the sectional, just a little bit more detail to it. Additional information, if you see, we have the cutout of an airline jet here. 747 looks like. And we got little triangles pointing towards Miami. This shows you the flows. This shows you the flows that the jets are going to be flying. So if you look, all the jets are going to, over here, from the Mode C Vail to the Class Bravo, they're going to be going along this route between 16,000 and 3,000. So we want to be on the lookout for jets here. And same thing for the north side. You can see they have the departing ones, the arrows pointing away from the airfield. They'll be flying from here between 5,000 and 16,000. So yeah, there's not too much to the terminal area charts to go over because they're exactly like the flight or the sectional charts. They just show the departure and arrival flows as a little bit of extra information, at least from the Vail to the Bravo. Once they get in the Bravo, though, ATC is separating everybody, so there's really no need to draw those. This is a TFR, and it's going to be active in about 2 hours. What we're really interested in is the fly chart. So the fly chart has no terrain details. It's a lot easier to read because of that. The fly chart shows the Class Bravo, a much easier to read version of the airspace layout. Again, we see the arriving flows from the Vail to the Bravo. Again, once they're in the Bravo, they're separating everybody, so there's no need to draw them. We also see visual reporting points that would be useful if you were flying VFR. But wait a minute, what is this big blue line that says below 3,000? It's got an arrow on either side. Those are VFR flyways. And these are ways for VFR aircraft to get through the airspace without having to talk to air traffic control. You're technically not going to be in the airspace, because if you look, you see these keep you clear of the airspace. If you look right here, this stretch, they want you to be below 3,000 feet on this stretch of the corridor, and you can see the floor is 3,000. So, yeah, you're not technically going to be in the airspace. Now, since you're going to be below the Class Bravo airspace, you guessed it, that means you have a speed limit to contend with. You're limited to 200 knots whenever you're below the shelf area of a Class Bravo airspace. So yeah, on these flyways, no more than 200 knots. So if we were, say we're flying to Key West, and we're coming from the north, let's say if we did a flight plan real quick, we made our, let me just punch one in, KCRG, Ormond Beach, and then that is KPBI, KEYW. And I'll just punch that in, and let's go back down into Miami, go back to the fly chart. So, so when we got ready, when we were on our sectional planning our chart, we saw we got close to Miami. We'd whip out the Miami fly chart and look at it. We want a waypoint that's towards the beginning of the Miami fly chart. And let's make it West Palm Beach, because we'll be following most likely 95 all the way down on this flight. So let's make it West Palm Beach. What do we do from here? Because we can't go direct. Well, we couldn't, because it would keep us clear of the Class Bravo, but it would also take us into uncharted territory. Let's so we'd want to go through the Class Bravo, or underneath it, possibly above it if we can get above 7,000, because this one only goes up to 7,000. But then we'd have to contend with these jets. So, yeah, we don't want to compete with a jet ever. So, we couldn't follow the coastline, because it'd take us straight to the Class Bravo. And let's say we feel like avoiding the Class Bravo today, for whatever reason. So, we would plan a flight once we got over West Palm Beach to immediately fly east following this road here until we get to the 20-mile bend in the road. There's a pumping station there. So as you can see, the fly chart is telling us there's a point on the ground that we could easily identify. So it's the bend in the highway 20 miles from West Palm Beach, and that's what that 20-mile bend is saying. It doesn't mean the bend is 20 miles long. It means it's 20 miles from West Palm Beach. So there's a bend in the highway, and we should see a pumping station. We know at that point we need to turn and fly a course of 195 to another pumping station. Then at that pumping station, we fly a course of 182 until we get over this interchange right here. This is the I-75 and US 27 interchange right there. So if I look at it real quick. Yes, I-75 and US 27 interchange right here. There's also a VFR intersection right there, VIBD. From here, we'd fly the 185 course down to this position. There's no visual point for it. It just gives us the GPS coordinates. We would be able to identify this point, though, because when we cross over some little stream, if we could see it, there's power lines running parallel. We should see a highway intersecting with the power lines right next to the point, and we'd also see this abandoned airfield, Opelika West. And if we looked on Google Earth, let me find a position. Okay, so Opelika, we got to find Opelika on Google Earth. And this is one thing, Google Earth would be very useful when you're planning a flight into unfamiliar territory. There's Opelika. Let's find Opelika West, the abandoned airfield. If it's marked like that, it should still be visible, so we should see concrete in straight lines somewhere. One thing we could also do is not that. We could punch this in these coordinates. If we copy and then paste them into Google Earth. Okay, so I was in the right area. There's the waypoint we're going to be flying over. So immediately to the left of our airplane, we should be able to see Opelika West, the abandoned airport. So yeah, we definitely want to punch that into our GPS if we could. Maybe figure out where it is relative to a VOR, because you could do that on a sectional chart. So yeah, we would look for, we should be able to see Opelika from there, because how far away is it? Okay, Sky Vector's being stupid. I'm going to guess that's less than 10 miles right there. Probably about 10 miles to Opelika, to that waypoint. So we should be able to see Opelika here, as well as possibly Opelika West, even though I couldn't find it on Google Earth. But we would definitely see this, maybe. Depends on how built up that area is. And if we look on Google Earth, you can see it. Thank God for Google Earth. So yeah, we'd definitely be able to see this road. We can look. It is a major road, 4 lanes. Possibly, that might be 6, actually. That's a 6-lane highway. Yeah, 6-lane highway, divided median, and a 50-foot clearing on either side. Yeah, we would see that. So that's what we'd look for, and that is Something Avenue. So we'd look for where Something Avenue makes a bend from going northbound to slightly northeast, and then back to north. So that's what we'd look for that point. From there, we fly the 195 course until we pass over a ranger station. And from there, even though it has an additional leg that takes it over to Key whatever airport's over there, it takes us right by Homestead General. Once we got here, we're outside the class Bravo. Once we know we're outside the class Bravo, we can fuck off wherever, as long as we avoid going back in the class Bravo or in this alert area over here. Or we can continue fly on this way because jets. That's right. These jets are going to be going from 16,000 to 3,000 and 16,000 to 6,000. So that's why they have it extended here. Because they want you to avoid the jets. So we definitely stay below 3,000 until we hit the Mode C Veil. Now, from here, we could follow this, the 150 course to, there's an airport over here somewhere. Let's just say it there. It's there. And again, they want us to stay below 3,000. We're far away from the Bravo now. Why? There's no jets coming in. Caution, high performance military operations 2,000 feet and below. Inside this rectangle, that's why they want us below 3,000 on this stretch, because of that rectangle right there. High performance military aircraft operating below 2,000. So you want to be below 3,000 feet on this, pretty much this whole stretch. And this is why fly charts are so useful, is because you can see ways to get around the Class Bravo, and you can see where the jets are going to be flying. You can actually look at the way Class Bravo airports are constructed and get an idea of the jet traffic. So, yeah, you can say from here we see the jets are anywhere between 16 and 6,000. And we see the airspace here covers 7,000 to 3,000. So the jets could be anywhere in here, 7,000 to 3,000. Anywhere in here, 2,000 to 7,000. And anywhere in here, surface to 7,000. So yeah, you can look at Class Bravo, the way it's constructed, and see how they are funneling traffic. So if you look at Miami, it's funneled as sort of an hourglass on its side. So all the traffic's going to be coming this way, or this way, this way, this way. They're going to be in there. And once they exit the Class Bravo, they're going to be most likely above 10,000. But since the Class Bravo roof here is 7,000, we could say that the aircraft, once they exit the Class Bravo, are going to be 7,000 or higher. So yeah, you can look at the shape of Class Bravo to get an idea of where the jets are going to be. Also, the fly chart's very useful to show you where that traffic's going to be, and you get a more zoomed-in version, and you get to easily read where these different waypoints are, these points on the ground that you can navigate with. Chrome Avenue and the trail right here. This one here, even though they don't have a point on the ground there, and looking back at Google Earth, where did we say that was? Yeah, that's the waypoint right there. We have no way of knowing where that's at except for we should see this bend in the highway here, right here. We should be able to see Opelika. We can see this. So Google Earth is very good at this, especially since Google pretty much updates these images annually now. So Google Earth will give you a good idea what to look for. Again, in Flight Sim, not as useful, really useful in real life. In fact, if I was planning this flight in real life, why do I keep going to that one? I would definitely look at Google Earth, maybe even print out a screenshot to give me an idea of what to look for. So yeah, VFR flyways, these fly charts are very useful. What about, we said we are going to talk about JFK. Holy Christ on a horsing bicycle. Look at JFK. It's like LA, but on steroids. I can barely read any of this. Another TFR there. Class Bravo all over the place. Class Delta. One Class Charlie over there. It's crazed. It's just crazed. And looking at the Class Bravo for the JFK, just call this the New York Class Bravo because it encompasses both JFK, Newark, and LaGuardia. So, yeah, we just assume that these are all Class Bravo because they are. And, yeah, we have no idea what way the jet's going to be going here. They're just going to be everywhere. Jets are pretty much everywhere in the New York area. So, yeah, VFR flying is a big pain in the butt. Let's look at the New York terminal area chart. Again, we see the crazed Class Bravo. This is just as unreadable as the sectional chart is. The terminal area chart doesn't really help us here, except right there. You see how this is sort of these blue lines with the squares facing inward along the Hudson River right here? You wonder why that is? Well, that is a special VFR flight area, special flight area. We saw one on the Jacksonville sectional when we went over sectional charts. I just didn't mention it. That's because I was going to mention it here. This indicates an area where you are required by regulations to have the terminal area chart. What that means is there is a ton of VFR traffic operating without air traffic control guidance. So yeah, helicopters fly up and down here. And tours and whatnot. So you're required to have the terminal area chart. Normally, you're not required to have the terminal area chart. It's just a good idea to have the terminal area chart. But you are also required, to have it here, basically. I would also have the heli chart and the fly chart. Is there a fly chart? I don't see a fly chart for New York. I would have the heli chart just so I know where the helis are flying. So if we look at New York, we can see all the helicopter routes. Good freaking God. They go from Newark, they go to JFK, up and down Manhattan Island. New York skyline chart. Okay, here we got something akin to a fly chart that's easier to read. So this is the VFR routes they want you to fly on when you're going to be flying on the New York area. So yeah, there's World Trade Center, Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, Intrepid. So yeah, Statue of Liberty. Good visual waypoints here. Yankee Stadium. Who's playing tonight? Blue Jays at Yankees. Go Blue Jays. Yeah, reading these is definitely beyond the scope of this tutorial. Again, because they got the same terminology as fly charts, except for right here. VFR transitions, ATC clearance required, altitude assigned by ATCs. They are under ATC control here. You need to be operating on a clearance to fly on these VFR transition routes, and they'll be assigning you an altitude. Good God, they got helipads everywhere. New York SFRA, here's another useful one to have. I would have all of these charts, personally, if I was going to be flying in the New York area. I'd just have every chart I could, and I'd be familiar with it. Even if I wasn't using them, I'd definitely look over them before the flight to make sure I had an idea of where everything was going to be. So we can see here, it has heliports listed, helipads. Here's, again, the VFR flyways, and it tells you need a clearance. TFR, again, TFR is not part of the chart. Let me turn that off. That's just the sky vector thing. Alright, so that covers terminal area and fly charts. Very, very useful. Would you use these in Flight Simulator? I would. Would it work? Probably not. Because if, well, you could do it offline, and you could fly these VFR flyways and not talk to ATC. Could you do it online? Yes, but you'd most likely still be talking to ATC because I've done it before, and the very second I popped up, online ATC was like, hey, are you going to stay VFR? Where are you going? But versus in real life, they wouldn't do that. They'd see you're on the VFR flyway, and they wouldn't worry with you. Mostly because they have no way of directly contacting you in real life like they do in VATSIM. So, yeah. Could you use these charts in Flight Sim? Absolutely. Could you not talk to air traffic control? Depends on if you're online or off. They almost always want you to talk to air traffic control if you're online, even if you're flying VFR. Yeah, that realism thing pretty much fell at the first hurdle with online air traffic control, didn't it? So, yeah. Terminal area and fly charts, very, very useful, as well as the god-awful number of charts up here in New York. Alright, so that was my video on terminal area and fly charts. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.